Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of A Brush with Death. I am your host, Casey Hanalei, and in this series, I sit down, I tell you a true crime story, and I paint a pretty picture at the same time. So if that sounds fun to you, stick around, because it's gonna get terrible. So, if you have been here before, you'll know that I usually have a special guest join us for every series video, and today's video is about 2000s Queenie, so I thought it only appropriate to have another 2000s Queenie, Miss Christina Aguilera. So everyone say hi, Christina. Thanks for joining us. So today we are talking about Miss Brittany Murphy. So we've talked about a lot of singers up until this point, but I thought it was time to kind of switch it up and do an actress this time. So let's get into this terrible, terrible case. Little Brittany Murphy was born November 10th, 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia, to her parents Sharon Murphy and Angelo Bertolotti. I hope I said that right. So her parents were married for a little bit, but her father was allegedly a part of organized crime and was in and out of prison during her little life. So Sharon and Angelo ended up splitting up when she was just 2 years old. And you'll notice that she kept her mother's name. After the divorce, when Brittany was just 3 years old, her and her mother moved to Edison, New Jersey, where her mom started to notice that she took a big interest in dancing and performing and singing. So she enrolled her in Vern Fowler's School of Dance and Theater. When she was just 5 years old, so really young. And she took dance and singing lessons until she was in her early teens. So she's really developing this at an early age. You can tell she was really talented. So in 1985, when Brittany was just 12 years old, she was bugging her mother. She just wanted to be a star. She craved to be a star. She was talented and she had the drive at only 8 years old. Well, arguably sooner than that. But anyways, she was bugging her mother, give me headshots, give me a manager, drive me to Manhattan, I need to audition. And she kept bugging her. And not until she turned 12 that her mother finally relented and let her audition. So she drove her into the city. And Brittany immediately started getting roles because she was just that good. She got commercials, and then she also starred in guest spots on little shows like Murphy Brown and Boy Meets World. I loved Boy Meets World. I used to watch it with my sisters all the time. Were you a Corey girl or were you a Sean girl? I want to know. I was an Eric girl. I love the older, taller boys. Or maybe you were a Topanga girl. I don't know. Let me know. Want to know. All right, let's move forward. So in 1991, Brittany and her mom are just so excited and elated that this is working. She's getting traction. She's becoming more popular. She's getting more roles that they pick up and they move to LA. LA. Did you guys watch Letterkenny? LA. Anyways, so they move to LA. And she almost immediately gets a role, a standing role on the show Drexel's Class, which I haven't seen, but I plan on watching it soon. Check it out. But while she's not on set, working, she is going to high school at John Burroughs High School in Burbank, California. Okay, so quick note. Fast forward a few years, 1994, Brittany is only 17 years old. She then meets her future husband, John Monjack, when she's only 17. Now, they don't start dating until later, but still, it's a little creepy. Okay, so the next year, in 1995, Brittany gets her breakout role in a little movie called Clueless. Now, if you've never seen Clueless, you need to stop and pause this video and you need to go watch it because it is an American classic and it should be a requirement. Everyone needs to watch it. Also, it has Paul Rudd in it. Come on, Paul Rudd, so cute. And then she stars opposite Alicia Silverstone. Also cute, also talented. It's an excellent movie. You should go watch it. Also home to the best insult delivered by Brittany Murphy in any movie I've ever seen. You're a virgin who can't drive. That was like a British accent. I can't do the Brittany Murphy. She's so good. Anyways, you're a virgin who can't drive. Burn! So good. Just go watch it for that clip. That's a great little snip. Anyways, did you know that Clueless was based on the Jane Austen novel Emma? I did not know that as well. And to everyone's surprise, it did great. It did great at the box office. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, we made something people like. This is awesome. And it grossed over 11 million in its first weekend. And it made Brittany a household name and made her an instant star. Everyone knew Brittany Murphy. Everyone wanted to get a piece of this girl. She was, oh, that sounded gross. She was so talented, and it was so evident. Like, she did so good in that movie. So go watch it, please. I know that you paused this video and you watched it already, and now you're getting back in, so welcome back. All right, so because of this role in Clueless, she started getting a bunch of other roles, so let's get into those. So after the success of Clueless, she started getting huge roles in big blockbuster movies in the late 90s, early 2000s. She starred in Girl Interrupted in 1999 with Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie. In 2002, she starred in 8 Mile with Eminem. Oh, yeah. Anyways, they also dated. Did you know that? Or it's rumored they dated. And then in 2003, she starred in Just Married with Mr. Ashton Kutcher. And they also dated. And maybe she should have stuck with Ashton. Well, no. Ashton's a cheater, so no, don't do it. And then 2005, she starred in Sin City with Bruce Willis, Mickey Rourke, and Jessica Alba. She didn't date any of those. Not that we know of. And then she got a standing role on the sitcom, or animated sitcom, King of the Hill. Do you guys know which character she played? If you don't know, you can hear it in the voice. She plays Luann, Peggy's niece. Oh, it's so good. She does such a good job with it. So go watch all of those things. Rewatch King of the Hill. It's excellent. So let's keep going. So before she got together with John Monjack, she was actually engaged to 2 other men. Not at the same time. So in 2004, she was engaged to a producer, and then she broke it off after about 5 months, and then she got engaged to the production assistant for her movie Little Black Book, which came out in 2004. They were engaged for a while, and then she ended up breaking off with that man, and she got together with John Monjack. So who is John Monjack? He's described as, their words, not mine, a 3rd-tier screenwriter. So definitely not as successful as Brittany was, and we'll get into it, but I think he definitely took advantage of her vulnerability. You'd think that someone as bright a star as Brittany would have all the confidence in the world, but she really didn't. She was really insecure, and like, I totally relate. Obviously, I'm not as big as a star as Brittany Murphy, but I mean, I think all of us can relate to being insecure. And I think John took advantage of that. Now, that's me speculating, right? I wasn't a part of it. I wasn't a part of the relationship. I wasn't there. So say what you will, but that's just kind of my feeling around this whole thing. So in 2006, Brittany Murphy and John Monjack started dating, and everyone was confused, to say the least. Even her friend and co-star Kathy Najimy from King of the Hill, I think I said that right. She plays Peggy in King of the Hill. She approached Brittany and was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, hasn't been long enough. Why are you thinking about getting married? Like, you need to think about this. He's a weirdo, And it wasn't just her saying that, like, everyone around Brittany was like, red flags all the way up. He was even described as like a Jekyll and Hyde scenario. He'd be cool one minute and then just like go bananas the next. There's also rumors that he had a criminal past. They even staged like an intervention for Brittany, like saying, girl, you need to get out of this, right? But she was in love, and didn't see any of the red flags, which, girl, I get it, you know, like, but I wish she would have known, you know, before she got married to him. But unfortunately, they did get married in 2007 in a private Jewish ceremony. I don't know if she was Jewish or he was Jewish or who's Jewish, but okay. And they were said to have been drinking Crown Royale and getting nuts, which, hey, celebrate, that's fine. But after the wedding, friends and family said that he immediately moved into Brittany Murphy's home with her mother and basically took control. He fired her manager, he became her manager, he became her like makeup artist. He was controlling and starting to isolate Brittany almost immediately after they got married. And if you've ever been in a relationship like that where, you know, either it's emotionally abusive, physically abusive, whatever, when you're in it, you don't see it. Like, and I know that everyone's like, well, why didn't she just leave? You know, if she was being abused or whatever, why? Like, when you're in it, you don't know. Like, you don't, A, like, really don't know any better, and B, you know, she loved this person. She wanted to make it work. So let's not judge her for staying or judge her for being in that, because, you know, you don't know what it's like unless you've been in it, right? And people who've been in it understand and get it, you know. Anyways, so they get married, they move in with each other. And at this point, Brittany's roles started to kind of diminish. 2006, 2007, she did get the role in Happy Feet. I was watching it the other day and I didn't realize she was in it. She started singing and I was like, hey, this penguin can sing. And it was Brittany Murphy. So yes, I watch cartoons. It's fine. But, so she did get that role. But her roles started to kind of decline, and she started getting some like thriller horror roles, which are, I guess, not seen as more legitimate than, you know, other roles, but whatever. And they started slowly declining, which wasn't good for Brittany's confidence. I think she was already really low and starting to feel isolated and starting to feel like no one loved who she loved, John, right? And so that was a blow, right? And so she's starting to take these hits, right? And you can kind of start to see her spiral a bit. So let's get into kind of the last like year of her life, which, oh, so sad. All right, so let's get into it. Something else that I forgot to add too, when Brittany was asked about her relationship with Mom Jack, she said it was the easiest decision of her life, which maybe it was. You know, I think she was in love. I think she had her blinders up and she didn't realize what was going on. She said he did a lot of sweet things for her when other people weren't around, which is like classic. Like, oh, they don't act the same way when no one is around. You know what I mean? That's like classic, like abusive relationship language. But anyways, so I just wanted to add that she was fully in on this marriage, and she even said that she wanted to be a mom soon. Like, she would have been a great mom. So yeah, I just wanted to add that a little bit. So the year of 2008, 2009, Brittany wasn't getting a lot of work. Her confidence was fastly declining, I can only imagine. And so she was getting some like thriller work, like I said before, but she ended up getting a job on a project called The Caller. So she was working on that at the end of 2009. In November of 2009, she was unfortunately let go from that project. Now, she said that she wasn't fired, that she left the project, but it is reported that they said no, she was let go. She had erratic behavior and her husband, John Monjack, showed up to set inebriated and belligerent, and they just had had enough of the drama and decided to let her go. So she is in a very low place, as you can imagine. She's not feeling great about herself. She's probably being isolated by her husband and, not in a good headspace. And in December of 2009, her husband was hospitalized for some kind of illness. And then she started to get like a really bad cold. It sounds like very lightweight, right? But like it was pretty bad. She was like bedridden, and she had a history of being anemic. So she was trying to take it easy and take care of herself. And she was taking over-the-counter cold medicine and trying to kind of self-medicate. And the day of December 20th, 2009, she got up, went into the bathroom, and she collapsed on the bathroom floor. Her mother was there, and she had Brittany in her arms, and she, passed out. So she called 911. They rushed her to Sinai Hospital. I think it's Cedars Sinai Hospital. And there they declared Brittany Murphy dead. Dead. This is shocking. At 32 years old, she's dead. So I think I said that enough. I remember the day that it was on the news that she had passed away. I couldn't believe it. What happened? What happened that she's gone? So they did do an autopsy of Brittany Murphy, and they concluded that she had died of acute anemia and complications to pneumonia, which I had no idea that could take someone down. That can take an adult human down. What? Anemia and pneumonia. Again, something about that is weird and fishy. Like, why didn't she go to the doctor sooner? What happened? Was she being held from the doctor? Were they keeping her there? I don't know. Even the medical examiner was saying if she had seen a doctor sooner, then it could have been prevented. She could have been saved. But unfortunately, it was just the mixture of anemia with the pneumonia that took her out, which is like so senseless and so shocking, like I said before. So R.I.P. to Brittany Murphy. She was a bright star and definitely going higher places, right? She was an A-lister for sure, and is greatly missed. So let's get into a lot of aftermath of Brittany Murphy's death. So let's get into it. So let's get into the aftermath of her death and also the conspiracies. So one of the biggest glaring things of this case is less than 6 months later. So she dies on December 20th, 2009. On May 23rd, 2010, John Monjack, her husband, dies the same way. The same exact symptoms, in the same room, in the same house. Discovered by the same person, her mother, Sharon Murphy. Make a note of that. But isn't that crazy, guys? And you know what the LAPD said? You know how we feel about the LAPD, but you know what the LAPD said? They said it was just an unfortunate set of circumstances. It was a coincidence. A coincidence? It's a coincidence that they died of the same thing. There's something in that house. Is it mold? We don't know. I also read an article that, so before Brittany Murphy lived in that house, Britney Spears actually lived in that house sometime before her. And Britney Spears said there was something weird at that house in the haunted region. So are there homicidal ghosts going around and just killing people, offing people? I don't know. And the same person finds them. So he dies of pneumonia with complications or anemia with complications from pneumonia. I think that's how it goes. a relatively functioning, I don't know if he was healthy, but a relatively functioning person dies the same way as his wife in, last 6 months. It's not a coincidence, guys. What is it? What is going on there? Let's get into some of what I think maybe happened. But let's get into it. And it's all speculation, so let's move on. So let's get into the theories. Now, one of the biggest theories that I can kind of mesh with is that she was poisoned. So in 2012, 2013, her father, Brittany Murphy's father, actually filed suit against the medical examiner's office and the LAPD to get further testing on Brittany's sample, her hair samples and stuff like that, to see if they had done their job, So they get a sample of Brittany's hair and they test it, and there is a dangerous amount of lead in her hair. And so what he's saying is, she was poisoned, like she was poisoned by rat poison or something, because that's what they use supposedly for rat poison. Now, the LAPD and the medical examiner's office, they're like, no, it's just her hair dye. It's just from her hairspray and stuff. Like, the dangerous amount of lead in her hair, that's just from her hair care. Is that true? Like, can that much lead be in your hair from hair dye? And maybe there can be, so like maybe I'm an idiot, but if that's true, maybe I need to rethink my hair care. But that much lead to kill a person from hair dye? Oh. I know you're not supposed to dye your hair while you're pregnant, so like I know there's like chemicals and toxins and stuff in it, but that much to kill someone? I don't really buy that, but let me know if I'm wrong. Another theory is that they were being watched by the government. Now, I couldn't find a ton on this theory, so I don't know how valid it is, but supposedly they were asked by a Homeland Security, like a former Homeland Security employee, whatever, to basically like testify that there was corruption in the organization of Homeland Security, and Brittany Murphy and John Monjack were a part of it. I don't think that's true. I think that's very far-fetched. I think people are just grasping at straws, but that's an interesting theory. Maybe it was the government. Again, it's weird that they died the same way 6 months apart. Maybe organized crime? I don't know. Anyways, let's keep going. So another thing that people point to is Brittany Murphy's like extreme weight loss and just very like gaunt look when she did pass away. So if you look at pictures of her like in Clueless versus right before she died, she is vastly different and very, very, very skinny at the very end of her life, which they speculate that she dealt with an eating disorder and just plainly wasn't eating, which is, an eating disorder. And they speculate that John Monjack was kind of pushing her into this, and he also was pushing her into getting more plastic surgery and losing more weight, and she was already prone to anemia, and when you don't eat, that goes down too. Like, you have very, very low iron levels when you don't eat. So a lot of people speculate that had a factor into causing her death, which is interesting because if you think about it, her husband died the same way and he was not skinny. He had health issues, but like he was eating. Let's just say that. So an interesting theory. It probably added, if you're not eating and you're already in a weak state, whatever happens to you it's just going to exacerbate it, right? So an interesting theory. They also speculate that she was using drugs, which when they did the autopsy, it was found that she only had over-the-counter medication in her system. So that was debunked as well, that she was not on prescription or otherwise drugs. I at the time of her death, so she was not abusing that as well. So interesting theory, but I don't think that's it. So another theory, and honestly my favorite theory, which it's my favorite because it's gross. I don't know how else to put it. Sharon Murphy, the mom, and John Monjack were bumping uglies. We're together. Sorry to put it that way. That theory, I think, has some validity to it. And I'm not saying that Sharon and John killed Brittany. But it is strange. And their reaction and actions after Brittany's death are even stranger, right? So if you've ever seen, so there's this interview with them. Well, there's a few interviews, but there's this house walk with them, John and Sharon, and they're going through the actual house where Brittany died, as like an interview, and they're going through. First of all, in the video, you can see that the house is very erratic and disorganized, and there's crap everywhere, and there's racks and racks of clothes and shoes and products and all sorts of stuff, like a very like borderline like hoarding situation going on. So that just kind of adds to Brittany's mindset. I think you can kind of see like I don't think she was doing well. I don't think she was in a very good headspace, and she was just trying to find some value somewhere. I can relate to that. And I think John took full advantage of her vulnerability. Now, that's just my opinion, right? I don't think everyone thinks that, but anyways, they're doing this tour, they're doing this interview, and they're going through the house, and they legit show you where Brittany dies, right? And John's reaction is very flat, very cold. And at times he's even making like sexual references about Brittany, like very inappropriate, like, oh, look at that body. And like, what? Like, come on, dude. Anyways, Sharon's there as well. And it comes out that they are sharing a bed after Brittany's death. Just kind of like together in their grief, which everyone grieves differently. Some people show emotion, some people don't. Some people go smash things. Some people just go cry, But I don't think a lot of people sleep with their mother-in-laws after the death of their wife. But maybe they do. I don't know. But anyways, a lot of people speculate that they were together, right? And there was even a Larry King live interview too, where they were both on there and they were talking about Brittany's death, and they seemed out of it, and they were making weird comments about Brittany and their relationship. And they even asked John about, he didn't want an autopsy done of Brittany's body, which I can see both ways. Like, if it's a person you love, you don't necessarily want to think about them being cut up. But at the same time, I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened to my loved one, right? So I would sacrifice that to know. And besides, they're not there anymore. They're not in that body anymore. It's okay. I digress. Anyways, he didn't want to have an autopsy done, which was like, it's weird. But he made a comment that he's like, oh, well, she had curves in all the right places, and like, you don't want to cut that up, and I don't want to say that in front of her mother, and just like weird, inappropriate, gross stuff. They even did a photo shoot. A photo shoot together, and there's like pictures of them like looking in each other's eyes. It seems like an engagement shoot, and not necessarily like, do you do in morning shoots? I don't think you do, but maybe some people do. So a lot of people think that they were together, and maybe that was motivation for someone, I'm not saying who, someone to poison Brittany. I don't think so, but it's weird. Especially after John dies too. Same way, in the same house, with the same person. Very strange. What do you guys think? There's a few other things I wanted to mention, so let's get into that, and then we'll close this video out and go on with our day. So another combined theory that I found was that John Monjack was just a really bad person and somehow got Brittany Murphy killed. Now, I hate to talk ill of the dead, right? But it is a theory out there. So to give you a little bit more insight on John, is he actually fathered 2 secret children before getting with Brittany and kept it from Brittany. So Brittany didn't know about these children. And the mother of one of the children, she kind of came back into the story, right? When he got engaged to Brittany, he reached out to the mother of his child and said, hey, I'm gonna buy you a house. And later she stated that she thought that he was buying her silence, basically, to keep it away from Brittany, because he had a lot at stake at this time. Another thing too was he had lied about having cancer, which if you lie about having cancer, you're one of the biggest pieces of on this planet. And I don't feel bad saying that because I actually know a person that did fake cancer, and I don't think very highly of that person anymore. So anyways, he said that he had cancer, and this is back when he was with his baby mama, basically. And that he had to go away to get treatment, this shark cartilage treatment, way back in the 90s. They had shark cartilage treatment for cancer in the 90s? I don't think so. But anyways, she didn't find out that it was a fake story until she actually called his mother and asked her, and she's like, he doesn't have cancer. What are you talking about? So that just kind of solidifies who John is as a person, right? Also, they said that he spent upwards of $3 to $4 million of Brittany Murphy's money when they were together. They were only together for a few years. He spent how much in those years? He had a lot of fake investments they found. And then one of the worst things I saw was that Sharon, the mom, she had all this jewelry that he had done, or had given her and Brittany when they were together. And she had this replica of the Audrey Hepburn tiara from Breakfast at Tiffany's. And she didn't have any money left, and so she asked the agent, her agent, to get them appraised and sell them, basically, because she didn't have any money left. So he took that tiara and a few other pieces and took it to appraisal, and they discovered that they were worthless. They were fake. And John Monjack had told them that they were exact replicas and that they were real. And so Sharon Murphy was destitute after that. I think she's fine now, but again, just kind of shows you who John Monjack was. And we know about all of the supposed manipulation, right, that John had on Brittany, and I think maybe he got Brittany killed, and maybe he got himself killed. I don't know. That I'm just putting it out there. I don't really actually think that, but it is a theory, right? He's not a great person, and when you exude positive or negative energy, you attract whatever you put out there, right? So if he's putting out these serious bad vibes, faking cancer, I'm not saying that he asked for it, but maybe something happened. Maybe somebody he screwed over too many times got sick of it. I don't know. Maybe. Not a lot of evidence to back that up, right? But it's a possibility. I mean, their deaths were accidental. That's what they're, categorized as, right? So this isn't a homicide. This isn't, a suicide. This isn't anything like that. So it is classified as accidental. So all speculation, right? All just putting it out there. All right. So let's do a little tribute to Brittany, and then we can be done. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of this tragic case. Untimely case. Every case I do is untimely, I feel like. But this case kind of hit me a little harder than the others just because we know that Brittany was kind of in a really bad, low mental state when she passed away, which I don't know who is in a high state when they pass away, but maybe you are. I don't know. But, as a girly that deals with the same things like insecurity and depression and anxiety and all this stuff, I know that Brittany was feeling at the end of her life. Like, to be in a place so low is just heartbreaking, And so I really hope that she is up there and looking down on us and is in her happy place and, being Brittany, She was a shining light, and she was so happy and positive and just exuded comfort and happiness. So with that, I would like to end on a Brittany quote. So Brittany Murphy said this: "I think the key to happiness is allowing ourselves not to feel bad or guilty about feeling it and letting it be contagious, and not to be dependent on any other people to create your own happiness." Amen, Brittany. She's right. It is up to you to make yourself happy. I know a lot of people that just don't know how to be happy, which is unfortunate, right? But just let yourself be happy. You get the energy that you put out there. So if you put out love, then you're gonna get that love back in some other way. So go out there, treat each other good, put out that good energy, love each other, dang it. Yeah, and I will show you the finished piece. Oh, so here's our Brittany. She's so beautiful. This is from Sin City, if you don't know. And she kind of has this emotional, teary look I thought was very, very Brittany. So, Brittany, you look fabulous. You turned out so good. You look so good. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me for this episode of A Brush with Death. Again, I am Casey Hanalei, your host, and I genuinely hope to see you next time. I will see you guys later. Love you guys. Bye.